Today we have a very special guest, Sid De La Cruz.
Welcome to my podcast where I'll be speaking with guests candidly about interesting topics. So join me on Candid with Kimbra.
So you're a native Californian. Was anybody else in your family involved in music?
Yes, my older brother, he was the DJ, and
Hmm.
my uncle, um, he used to play in a band with Carlos Santana
Oh,
Oh,
before Carlos
Santana.
Santana, uh-huh, before he was, before Carlos Santana was a household name. This is when
oh,
Carlos was playing, just kind of starting off in a band and still playing in garages. So my uncle, he used to play in the band with him, and so yeah.
it's
So
in
you
your
think that was like
blood.
yeah. So was that like an inspiration for you, do you think? Like when you were a kid, did you think, I like music, or was it you didn't really think about it back then?
No, I didn't really think about it. And as a kid, music wasn't really something that kind of that that really spoke to me. Yeah, I was in piano lessons. I was in like the elementary school band playing trumpet. And I was in church choir, but I never really kind of took an interest in it. It was more of my parents kind of putting me in there and kind of, let's have the kids do something during the summer, type of deal.
Right. Let's get them out of
So
our hair
yeah,
and give them some
yeah,
culture.
yeah. So as a kid, it wasn't really. I didn't really have like a huge interest in it. It wasn't until later in life when I was able to kind of really kind of pay attention to music and kind of really understand it is when I kind of really took an interest in it.
Right.
You
Well,
made your
you've done
path
it.
sound
Go ahead.
so smooth. Like it was not that smooth for me when I was in LA. So must have had some challenges that you look back at that you're proud that you overcame because you learned a lesson. Do you want to like share with us? Maybe it could help people or help us. Maybe
No, yeah, yeah, no,
what
for
your
sure. Yeah,
challenges
no,
are.
yeah, no. Well, I don't consider my 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 trajectory very smooth. I've been, gosh, there's been so many, I guess, even
Ups
up
and
to now,
downs.
right, ups and downs where I've been considered for work. I've been up, consideration for work, but it doesn't come through, for whatever reason, whether the filmmakers didn't like my music or the music wasn't really resonating with them, or there's other people also in consideration and they chose somebody over me. And that still happens to me to this day. And
Right.
that's something that kind of it sucks, it sucks, but that's something that I
I
kind of
ain't
have
gonna
to
lie,
learn.
it sucks.
Yeah, and that's something that I've learned to kind of deal with, that you can't win them all.
Yeah.
That I'm not perfect. There is going to be times where I'm not winning, and so that's something that I have to learn and accept it, and
Yeah, I guess
and
the
just
hardest part
kind of,
is to like not take those kind of things personally.
Hmm.
Probably the hardest
yeah,
part
And sometimes
because
it's
yeah,
reasons we don't know, like it's could be
oh yeah.
nepism. So
Oh
and you
yeah,
can't
a lot of
control
times.
that.
A lot of times. One
exactly,
time,
yeah.
one time I was up for this job as a backup singer in a I think it was a rock video, and I knew the casting director, so he brought me in, and it was a singing, but you had to be. It was for the video, right? And then they ended up going with just one, and I didn't get the job, right? And I asked the casting director, and he's like, "Well, I thought the other girl needed the money more than you because she has a kid, And I was like, "What?" I mean, that was just such a random,
Yeah,
like,
it should have been based on talent, but it's not
right?
always. Yeah, that's
He
all
was a
right.
close friend of mine, so he kind of told me that. And
Oh,
I got really,
well, he was
I
honest
was,
with you.
yeah, I was like, really? I mean, why would you even think that? And that's sort of odd, but in my opinion, because we were about to start work, and then at the last minute, it was like, oh, we only need one. So you just never know what the reason is going to be, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You have like right, you have no idea. So knowing that, like I try not to take these losses to heart, kind of just because like they 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 are going to happen and they will happen and they will continue to happen. So I will have to just learn to kind of or I've learned now and kind of accepted it that it's gonna happen. And so just deal with it, you know.
And don't
It's
talk about
as
things
bad
until
as it
you,
sounds.
yeah. And I was just gonna say, don't talk about things till after the job's over. I remember when I first started, I would always talk about things, right? And then sometimes it didn't happen, and then you're like, oh,
Yes, that's happened to me early on, and I've learned quick to never mention anything because the moment you mention something, it's like, okay, yes, I'm going to be working on this project, and if it doesn't fall through, now you're looked at as a liar, and just kind of I don't feel good, telling people, hey, I'm working on this, I'm working on this, and then later on, sorry guys, it didn't come through, you
and
know.
even sometimes when you work on something like, especially with acting, your part gets cut a lot. And so I would tell
Yeah.
people, oh, I'm in this project, right? And then, oh yeah, I just saw you for a second. Or I've done music stuff too, where I had a song that I sang that I didn't write, but it was in a big movie, and it's on IMDb and it's listed and everything, but you can barely hear the song for like, I think 1 minute. But hey, I got paid and it's on IMDb and it's in the score.
Mhm.
You can only hear it for like barely a minute.
Or you get credit and you're not even in the film.
Well, that's happened to me too.
That's
Yes.
happened to me.
Yeah,
And then my friends are like, I watched it. And I don't like to watch stuff I'm in. Well, it takes me forever sometimes to watch something that I'm in. So,
yeah,
but
I
it is
know.
what it is.
One time
And
I was just saying, one time I was at a movie, I was on the original producers list, and then it ended up getting cut, but I still was on there, so I still get residuals and stuff.
oh,
So
that's awesome.
yeah, that's nice. Yeah. And it was a lot of residuals because it was a big hit movie, but I wasn't in it.
Oh, well, you still get
Oh
the
well, c'est la
money.
vie, right?
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
I'm
well.
into, some people really hate this subject, but it's going to affect everybody. Artificial intelligence.
Oh, I knew you were gonna say that
It's
AI.
not even on the list, but uh what do you feel about that? Because now you can go on Udio or Sudo and just make stuff. I have a love-hate relationship with it. What do you think about it?
Right. The I try not to think too much about AI, even though it's out there and that's the hot topic in music. I don't think about it too much. Um, I could see the benefits of having AI, but I can also see the downside to it. And
Hmm.
so, I haven't really. I've dabbled with it just a little bit, just to see, what AI is capable of doing. And there's some stuff where I've noticed like, wow, this is actually pretty impressive. And there's other things from like, yeah, the musicians are going to be fine.
All right.
So it's kind of, up and down for me. But I don't use AI, at least not in my music. Or no, actually, I don't use AI at all. Um, and I don't know, I just feel that I like to kind of create everything from scratch. Like I don't even use loops in my music. And
Wow.
so I don't know, I like to have um, the ability to kind of create something from nothing. So yeah,
Well,
I
you're
mean,
not supposed to for syncing. That's like, um, but I think for you, and I had this I work on another show that I produce. I think your job will always need somebody who understands music theory, who can notate, who can score and compose in the way that you do. Even if AI does it's not perfect. I don't think it ever will be 100% perfect. And to, I can just see it like, we're going to call Sid to fix this. Like, I think there always needs someone like you. Not everybody can notate like you.
We're always gonna call Sid the closer.
Yeah, you're
yes,
going to help us finish our project.
gotta seal the deal. Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
no, no, you're right. You're right. There's things that the AI can't really do well, at least now, and there's always going to be yeah, and I think you're right. There's always going to be the human touch, the human quality that I guess humans bring to music, the emotion, whatever you want to call it, that it's going to be hard for a machine to replicate.
And sometimes, I mean, this is sound weird, but little humanistic touches, especially in popular music, it's like it really makes a difference because you can hear the vulnerability of something, whether it's playing or singing,
Okay,
we
so
don't always want
they can do that.
perfection.
They can do that on AI, but I will tell you, there's technology now where you will hum and it'll notate it for you, but I don't know what the heck is happening. So then I would
Mhm.
need to ask somebody who can read music. So
Uh,
yeah, I agree with you all.
yeah. Also, the imperfections of a musician brings
Oh, yes.
the more natural, the more humanistic things, because AI, I mean, I guess in theory it's perfect, and so the human is not, and so all these little imperfections makes things more emotional, makes things more natural, makes things more, I guess,
Real makes
uh,
them more
right,
authentic, more
yeah,
heartfelt, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
They're
yeah, but
saying now, sorry, go ahead.
no, that was my thought.
They're saying now, I'm seeing a lot of things on TikTok that in LA, and I live in Austin, so the industry is falling apart. What are y'all's thoughts on that? Is it do you, because they're saying Hollywood isn't getting the same kind of views, the same jobs, people are having, even composers are having to leave. I think if you're good enough, you're always going to have a job. Like there's always going to be somebody who's going to think of you. But what are y'all's? What is your thought of that?
Well, what is the question exactly? That
What, do you think that Hollywood is falling apart?
well, that's kind of a broad. I mean, I don't
There's
think
less jobs now. There's less,
well,
you
you
know.
can work remotely, so you can live almost anywhere, right? But you're still going to meet more people in LA, than you would say in some rural part of town, But if you get to a certain level, you can work anywhere, which a lot of people do. But yet still they don't want people, but people, when I have friends that do that, but still they don't want people to know that they live in, you know,
Yeah,
Wyoming or something,
yeah.
right? They're always like, don't tell anybody, because until you get to that certain level where you, like I said, like where you're James, what's his name? James Newton Howard. Is he still alive? Isn't that the
Oh
one you
yeah,
talked about earlier?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Or gosh, anybody at that level, you can work anywhere, right? But if you're sort of in that middle level where you still want to make connections, you got to be able to take meetings and stuff, right? So, what do you
For
think,
sure.
Sid?
No, no, I agree. I agree. I think being in LA definitely helps a lot with I guess kind of advancing your career. Of
Hmm.
course, you don't have to live here, but I think it does help out a lot because just as the musician is coming to LA to kind of find work, the actors coming to LA, the directors coming to
That's
LA,
true.
the producers are coming to LA. So there's a melting pot of a lot of creatives here, and so um, when you go out to have dinner, chances are you might run into you might meet somebody and they might turn out to be a director. So boom, without wanting, you just networked.
Hmm.
Um, going to you have the opportunities to kind of go to film festivals or events, meet friends of friends who are directors. A lot of that kind of stuff happens in LA. That's not to say that it doesn't happen anywhere else, but your chances are greater in LA for you to kind of meet people and run into people. I'm not talking about celebrities, but just people who could kind of you could collaborate with and,
Hmm.
Right.
and
That's
kind
true.
of potentially
And
kind of further your career.
Do you
that's
feel like the landscape has changed though, as far as like opportunities because of what is happening in Hollywood right now? Or do you feel like it doesn't really affect you because you're so awesome?
Well, I haven't really noticed a whole lot of change, at least not yet. Only because a lot of composers now kind of tend to work remotely. And I think a lot of that had to do with the pandemic, right? When everyone was working from home, and so now composers they kind of really work from home now. So
Oh.
I haven't really, at least in my community of the composers, I haven't really seen a whole lot of it. Now it might be different for maybe writers or actors or things like that. But at least in my field, I haven't really noticed it a whole lot.
Yeah, even productions that are shot in other states, they're still gonna try to audition people, in LA. Um, they might shoot somewhere else, for that wouldn't really affect you with the music, because they're still gonna take a meeting with you probably somewhere in LA. Or, have them send them the music and you might meet them at some point.
Yeah.
Because you're working from home, how do you keep up to date with what's going on? I work remotely, so I'm constantly consuming content, probably more than I should, but how do you sharpen your knife, so to speak?
Same way, consume content. The social media, I mean, there's just being online, right? There's a lot of tools that composers use. A lot of companies, a lot of these companies kind of do a lot of social media, a lot of online type of deals, right? So whether they probably release like YouTube videos of like their product. Okay, well, we have this new instrument that we're, virtual instrument that we're releasing. Here's a YouTube video of an explanation of how it works, and then I would decide, okay, whether I want that or not, I could buy those tools or not, and then sharpen my knife. Um, but yeah, a lot of online type stuff. And then also um, just, I guess, being around different musicians, seeing what they like. For instance, like if there's a piece of music that sounds really unique and different, and if the composer's willing to share their secrets, like, oh, well, I use this and this and this, like, oh, okay, cool. So then you kind of learn that way. Um, but yeah, a lot of it, a good portion, at least for me, has been coming from online. I've been learning a lot of things from online.
What
Yeah.
tools do you use? Like, what do you use to notate? You're not sitting there with a pen and paper, are you?
Hmm.
No, back in college, yes, but not anymore. Um, I use Finale. Well,
Mhm.
there's different notation softwares that different people use. But I use Finale. That's kind of what um
Pretty much the
I've
industry.
always used.
That's pretty much the industry standard, right? Finale.
They well, there's Sibelius, there's
Sibelius, that was
Dorico.
yeah, that was in school. My professor would always
Uh,
say, use Sibelius, it's more user
uh,
friendly,
uh, yeah, and so I guess a lot of people kind of gravitates more towards Sibelius or Dorico. Dorico's like the newcomer. But I've been using Finale since college, so that's kind of what I know. And I feel comfortable with it. So that's kind of what I've been using. Mhm.
What kind of DAW do you use when, because you remix a lot of stuff, and I guess that's like your hobby or something you do for fun. What do you use to remix? Are you using a DAW? What are your tools?
Right, yeah. So I'm actually sponsored by ImageLine. So I use FL Studio. That's kind of my DAW. I'm
Awesome.
sponsored by them, and so that's what I use. I also see what else. I've used other DAWs here and there, just because if I were to work with other composers, sometimes they would ask, "Hey, could you help me out on certain projects?" I would use what they're using. That way it would be easier to kind of transfer data between composers. But yeah, my main DAW would be FL Studio. That's kind of, which is kind of weird because a lot of composers do not use that, at least not for film scoring. It's popular for record producers, but not for film scoring. That's kind of what I use. I love it. I just find it to be far more quicker and efficient than all the other DAWs I've used. But that's just me. That's my opinion. That's kind of what I feel more comfortable with. And for other people, they might say something else works for them, and that's great. There's no right or wrong answers, just kind of the tool that we choose to use.
How did you get sponsored? Oh, sorry. How did you get
Oh,
sponsored?
Uh, Gosh, this was um this was a while ago. I don't remember exactly how that happened. Uh Goodness, wow, that's a good question. I don't remember exactly how that happened. Um this was maybe 2018, 19, give or take, I think. Um, I might have to get back to you on that one. Because to be honest with you, I don't remember exactly how that happened.
That's okay. We'll cut
Um,
that question out.
Hey, Sid, I was going
Yeah.
to ask you, so when you work, you score films, right? So how does that work? Does the director give you an idea and say, I want to hear what you would come up with, or did you go off something that he's maybe put some, gosh, what do they call it when they place the music in there that's like a, track?
temp music, yeah,
Temp, yeah.
yeah.
Does it work that way more, or does the director, or does it depend? Like if it's a low budget film and the guy says, what do you got? This is what I'm thinking.
I've worked both ways. And I've worked on films where they have temp music,
Hmm.
and with temp music, I've worked with directors that are very this is the music that we really like, and we want you to stay, pretty close to what we have already. And
Hmm.
there's directors where they've told me this is the temp music. We do not like it. But
Right.
we have something here just so you could kind of get an idea of the atmosphere, of the emotion, of the feeling. And so there's uh, those two options. And I've also worked where there's no temp music at all, where the director says, I don't know what I want here, but I
Right.
trust you, write something, and we'll go from there. If we like it, great. If we don't like it, we'll revise it. We'll work out, we'll toss that away and start on a new piece, and we'll keep working that way until we find something we're like, yep, this works. And then we kind of move forward.
What's the most fun project that you've ever worked on? Has there been a movie or a TV show where you're just like, oh my God, this is so awesome? Is there
There's
one?
let's see here. Um there I kind of like well, there really hasn't been like one specific film, but I do like the projects where I get creative freedom,
Hmm.
where the director says, Sid, do what you want, I trust you, and that's kind of nice.
Who doesn't like
Because
that, right?
Yeah.
I, 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 I can kind of go in, and of course I can't go crazy and kind of do something that won't fit the picture, but sticking, kind of what I would think would elevate the picture. And then a lot of times they're like, "Yep, this is it," or a lot of times it'll be like, "Let's work on it again." But the fact that I get the creative freedom, that's kind of I really enjoy that.
Yeah,
Do you
right.
feel like time passes by because you're standing there for like a long time, right? Do you feel like it just fades away?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's times where I'm working that and I forget to like eat, either have lunch, dinner, or take a break and have a snack. There's times where I'm just kind of so in the zone where I don't eat,
That's
which is
awesome,
bad.
though. That's
Yes, you're
awesome.
in the flow state. That's a beautiful
Except
thing.
it's not good for if you have a partner or something. It's not good, because they're like, "Come out of the room, Sid." No.
Nah, I don't know. It depends on, I think
Depends on
that's
who
why
you're with.
I've only dated musicians because they get it, like, but then that's
Right.
also another problem. So we won't talk
Yeah.
about today.
Yeah. That's another podcast. Should you date someone that's exactly like you or the total opposite, right?
You have such an amazing career. You've achieved a lot of things. I feel like as we age, we'll never, as artists, we never feel like we ever achieve anything, unfortunately. So you probably have goals for the future. Where do you see yourself? Where do you want to be in the future? What are your aspirations?
Hmm. Uh, I would like to continue to write. Uh, of course, keep writing music. But I would also like to kind of dive into other things aside from film. My passion is music. It's not just film music, but music in general. So I would like to really get into more record production. Um, the Even though I've done it, it's really difficult to find recording artists who are very serious about it. I come across a lot of recording artists where they make a song and then years later they make another one. Years later they make another one. I would like to maybe collaborate with people who are more
Serious?
consistent, right? More
Okay.
serious, more consistent. So
Got
maybe
it.
they might put out a song maybe once a month, but that's something that's more consistent. I would love to kind of do something like that. I would love to kind of explore theater. I've
Like a
recently
musical?
worked on,
Like a musical, maybe?
right, yeah, musical or yeah, just it could be a musical, it could be maybe just a background music or theater would be nice. I recently worked on a theater production uh, a couple weeks ago. I just finished it, and this was my first one, and so it was much different from producing records, or working on film. And I enjoyed it. So I'd like to kind of explore that as well. And yeah, just kind of being able to collaborate in different music spaces, not just film and TV, but just in a variety of spaces. It kind of gets my creative ideas moving in different directions
Mhm.
than it would in film and TV.
Yeah, you want to be challenged a little bit, but plus it's always for me, like I've said this to Lee before, I always have to be doing something creative. And sometimes if you do the same thing over and over, you can get a little bit of a rut. And as an artist, you want to try to you want to feel that kind of like, oh my gosh, can I do this? You're always struggling like, can I do this? But it kind of excites you and pushes you, don't you think?
It does. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, it's a healthy what do you call it? It's a
Thanks.
healthy yeah
It's a
yeah it's
healthy, uh, if you that scared feeling. I also tell people that that just means you care too when you have that nervous feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm a little nervous.
mhm. Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
The
yeah.
landscape in music right now is to release a song. Okay, so it's arguable, but the healthy thing they're saying to do is for the Spotify algorithm is to release a song every 2 weeks for
Yeah.
indie artists.
Hmm.
And so you will find people because that's what all the coaches, the music gurus are pushing. And I actually have a few clients of myself that I'm coaching, but I'm really building a website. I'm not really, I just tell them all the stuff that I consume.
Sure.
But it's factual because there's numbers behind it. Um, Obviously I don't have those numbers, but I would like to, and I'm trying to maneuver AI with it. But yeah, so you're in LA, like it's not going to be hard for you if you really look. They're telling all the kids to release music at least once a week, which is I think is bad. A lot of coaches think is bad, but every 2 weeks is what they're saying. And then some coaches who are like really artsy fartsy and they're like, oh, we have to, then they're saying at least at minimum once a month, which is sad. I really hate that Spotify said you have to release music more regularly. That's not how music was written in the 70s, the 60s, and then we have some of those great songs now. Um, so yeah, you can find those people. That's where the industry is right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, sorry. I was just going to
yeah, go
say,
ahead.
I was just going to say, I actually have a song that I want your opinion on. So I may reach
Ooh,
out to you later.
yes.
Yeah,
Do you want
I would
to
love that.
do it
Uh,
now or no?
no, no, no. Are you kidding? I don't even
Okay.
know. No, no,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
It's not actually done, but it's done and it's not done. You know the
Okay.
song I'm talking about, Lee. Maybe you do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I heard the
So
original version of it, so I like that better because that's the first version I heard. But
right, right. But we're trying to change it.
yeah, it's so different than the first version. But
But
okay.
I need the helper of a producer, a real, because right now I've been collaborating with the other songwriter and we're kind of getting stuck a little bit. So I may need your opinion.
You might tell him the gauge of how we're gonna probably cut this out, but the gauge of how honest you want him to be. Okay.
Oh, I wanted to be totally honest.
Okay.
You mean
Yeah,
Sid?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how critical you are. I've never had him. I've never had him listen to any of my music. I've never, I don't know.
Well,
I
at
don't
this point,
know. Are you
I
nice?
definitely. Oh, I don't care about nice at this point. It's all, but I mean, it's diplomatic is always good, right?
Yes,
But
yes.
and also, to be honest with you, um, I don't mind people being honest, but I would. What's better is if they give you a solution or a way to make it better, not
Yes,
just
yes,
oh, this is
yes.
not good because X, Y, Z, right? Because you want to say,
Totally,
why don't you
totally,
try this,
totally.
right?
Well, I
So
think that you would know that because you're so smart when it comes to music.
you're going to make his head like this. You know, I'm kidding.
I just feel like people who know theory, like they can hear things out.
Well, knowing theory is one thing, but no,
or,
you know,
or notate or hear the different layers that
yeah.
that when it
With
comes
pop
to
music, I mean, theory is one thing, but that's kind of more intellectual in a way. You know, you got to know other things too to make a great pop song, don't you
sure.
think?
Yeah, totally. Um, Going back to, well, I was saying what the kids are doing.
Sure.
If you were starting music, or if you wanted to give anyone advice starting on the path that you are to be
Yeah,
a
that's a good
composer,
question.
because a lot of, I don't really hear people online or kids saying they want to be a composer. So that's going to be a really big need, I feel like, in the future, even if we use AI, as I mentioned before. So what advice would you give them?
Uh, I would tell them to network, right? Meet as many people as you can. Um, and just like they are starting off, people that they're meeting most likely are also starting off. So build those relationships, build those relationships, network. Also keep in mind that work's going to be very difficult. I mean, what I mean by that is that it's not going to be consistent.
Right.
When you first start off, you might work on one project and it might be a whole year before you work on another one. Or it might be half a year, but it's going to take a long time to kind of get to where you want to go. It's not going to happen in 1 year. It's not going to happen in 2 years. It's not going to happen in 5 years. It's going to take a while for it to happen. So if you're mentally prepared for that, that's going to help you out a lot. Knowing that, by the snap of the finger, you're not going to be having a steady income. It's going to take time. Um, uh, a network, again, not burning your bridges, meeting people, and of course, working on your craft.
Sure.
Learning music. You don't have to go to school, although it's nice to kind of learn all these kind of things.
For
Um,
composition, I think it's like composing what you're doing for movies and film. It's very important to study as much as you did. I think it's a good background. For popular music, maybe not so much to go to, like I saw an interview with Jackson Brown the other day. He was like, I got rejected from, I can't remember what music school it was, but he never went. So, I mean, everybody's different, but to come like what you're doing, trying to compose, the more knowledge that you have, the better, I would think.
no,
What
for
Composing.
sure.
what do you suggest that they would do? I mean, I'm thinking about all the side jobs that I've had, but what would you suggest that they would do during those times where you don't have a gig?
Your day job.
Right,
Just
right, yeah, right.
yeah,
Have a day job where most likely it's not going to be in music. You might be working at a bank. You might be working at an office. Uh, but just have a day job and kind of live life. Because you do need to put bread and butter on the table. You do need to kind of pay your rent and your bills, and those jobs are going to help you with that. So yeah, I mean, like as unglamorous and uncool that sounds, I mean that's kind of the reality of things.
But in a way, it's good too to have a job that you hate because then it'll drive you to. I really want to do
Yes,
music. I hate my
absolutely.
job.
Yeah, that would give you the motivation and the drive to kind of say, I need to get out of this place. I need to get out of this. Let me start really pushing myself towards music and really getting myself out there and really kind of taking this music serious. And that's gonna like it'll take you places.
I don't know. I feel like I do have a day job. I'm grateful. They're very supportive.
Oh,
Um,
that's good.
but it does take up a lot of time where I
Yeah.
don't know. It's like you have to balance, and I get tired. Don't you? I don't know what you're doing in between, but are you exhausted that you just can't work on music? And then there's this period of time where you just, well, you probably not for y'all. Y'all probably practice every day and you're not bad like me. But there's this period of time where I just don't practice because I'm working on a website or whatever.
You
Yeah,
should
no,
practice
for
every
sure.
day. But I'm sorry, I was just gonna say my voice coach used to always say to me, Kimbra, you're not a real singer unless you vocalize every day. I remember at that time I'd probably do it 3 to 5 times a week, unless I had a gig, then I'd really every day, right? But if you could practice every day on your instrument, whatever it is, even 20 minutes,
Yeah. So what do you do, Sid? Do you practice every day too, or?
Uh, mm, yes and no. Like, I don't know if I would consider this practicing. So, like the times where I'm not working on music, I'm just kind of relaxing, maybe watching TV, Netflix, or whatever. That's kind of when I take my guitar, and as I'm watching Netflix, just just kind
Noodling.
of work on my scales, um, and I'm not really kind of paying attention to my guitar playing. I'm more focused on TV, but just my hands are moving. My hands are moving. I'm kind of doing this and that. And so I don't know if you would consider that practicing, but I do that a lot. And I have noticed that I have gotten better, you know, speed, technique.
I have a guitar
I'm
teacher
sure
that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sure if I were to like actually really focus and kind of dedicate myself to like a practice time, I would be better. But I guess this is better than nothing. So yeah, I'm in front of the TV and just practicing my scales, and
I was gonna
watching.
say, I have a guitar teacher that advises people to do that. He's like, when you're in front of the TV, just, if there's a riff you're working on or a couple chord changes that you're not familiar with, just do it in front of the TV. So I think that is kind of practicing.
I can see it now.
Yes,
You're sitting there playing your guitar, watching Hell on the Border. Just kidding.
watching Bridgerton, yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Watching your own movie. But I did talk to I mean, that's what I ask almost all my friends is a lot of musicians. Y'all don't sit around and watch, or maybe people just don't want to admit they do. They don't sit around and watch their stuff.
Oh God, I don't, never.
Do you? But it's
Do you
different
sit?
because
Watch
you
my
like get to see it put together and then you forget about it, or
like watch my own stuff.
yeah.
Not so much, only because when I'm working, I see the scenes over and over and over and over and
Oh,
over and over and over,
it's not a
and
surprise
so
anymore.
yeah, no, so it's I pretty much know all the dialogue by the time I get to like the end of the film, so yeah, no, I don't really watch any of my stuff. So
If
I
you
don't think
could,
that's a big surprise.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I said I don't think that's such a big surprise. Like
Yeah.
personally, I don't like to watch anything after I've done it.
That's what a lot of people say. I find how it's very similar. But we are coming up on the time, so
Yeah.
I have one final question for you. If you could give yourself, not anyone else, advice, and you were starting today.
Younger Sid, if you could give the
Yeah.
younger Sid.
If you could just say like a one sentence nugget of wisdom, what would you tell yourself?
huh, I guess be patient.
Hmm.
Be patient. Because it's things don't happen overnight, and things don't happen in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Things take time, and people kind of want things to happen now, 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 right? 'Cause we're in that world of now, right? You're on your phone. I want to buy uh, a t-shirt online. You could do that now. I
Hmm.
want to watch Bridgerton. Well, I could do that right now. Let me turn the TV on, right? So we're in the world of now, 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 and our careers don't happen now, now, now. It takes time. So I would say be patient and persistent, and consistent.
And I would say
Perfect.
you have to love, I would say you have to
Oh yeah,
really
for sure.
love. It has to be your passion because, like I said, especially with music, in my opinion, it's probably the hardest thing to make money in right now.
Yeah.
Of all the arts, except maybe being a painter, maybe that's a little harder. But in my opinion, that's because an actor you can always do little side gigs, like even extra work and that kind of thing. But for a musician, it's really, really hard. So you have to really love it. Be persistent. Like you have a background of education, which is really
Hmm.
great. Networking, easy to get along with. I'm assuming, right?
No, absolutely. Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, not for sure. Yeah. I make it like an effort, like an extra effort to kind of be easy to get along with, because I know that I know how important that is in this field to get along with. A lot of people want to work with their friends. That's just
Yeah.
kind of the nature of it. And so
Hmm.
I know that. So I consciously make a decision to be easy to work with.
That's good.
So
That's good.
yeah.
Where can people find you on the internet?
That vast thing
Uh,
called the internet.
I'm only on Facebook. I don't have Instagram or anything
Do you
else.
have a website?
I do. Yeah,
Sorry.
Sid
Maybe I should ask you that
delacruz.com.
question again.
What's your website, Sid?
You didn't want to tell people. I'm sorry, but you have your YouTube too. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I have a YouTube. Yeah, I have a YouTube. I have
Let me
my
ask that
website.
question again. I'm sorry. So all right. Where can people find you on the internet? Where would you, if people wanted to look you up or find your music, do you have a place that you want to share or?
Yeah, yeah. So I do have a YouTube channel. I have some stuff there. Also on Spotify. What else? I guess on all the streaming platforms. Yeah, you'll be able to find my music on there.
And it's Sid, and then it's De La Cruz, right? De La Cruz.
That's right. Yeah,
Gotcha.
Okay,
yeah.
so we'll put those in the description or the show notes. And really, thank you so much. I learned a lot today. I did know a lot about. I'm fascinated. Of course, we're both musicians, so we want to have our music synced to a film. But well, actually, you've already done that,
Yeah.
Kimbra. I have not. I guess I'm the only one. But thank you so
Well,
much
I've
for.
only had stuff that I've sung. I'm trying to work on getting stuff that I've written because it's more money. I'm
I
not a
think
mercenary,
I,
but
I think we might be able to ask somebody for some advice.
Might know somebody. Yeah.
Anyways, well, it was really nice meeting
Yes,
you, and I
thank you
will
so
reach out
much.
to you through Facebook, or I'll get your something from
Yeah,
Lee. But I want your advice on this one song.
absolutely. I would love to hear it. Yeah, and I would kind of let you know my thoughts on it. Yeah, for sure.
As mean and ugly as they may be. No, I'm kidding.
Be nice to her,
I'm not a
I'm
bad person,
saying.
so
Well, thank you so much for coming on and really appreciate it. Yeah, so we'll see y'all next time.
thank you so much for
Candid with
inviting me.
Kimberly.
Thank you.
Okay, bye, Sid. Bye, Lee.